Good afternoon. It is Monday, April 15th, 2024, and my name is Eric Wiedeke. You can follow me at Eric Wiedeke on Twitter/X. Also, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this video and many others from the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel as we continue to give you the best sports coverage in all of South Florida. And last but not least, do not forget to use promo code 5 on PrizePicks. That's FIVE on PrizePicks, the #1 app for daily fantasy sports. Not available in Florida just yet, but coming back soon. At least we are hopeful that that is the case for PrizePicks. Just remember, in places where you can play, that is promo code FIVE for an initial deposit match up to $100. So I want to get into it. Marlins rotation is undergoing a major shakeup today as Edward Cabrera is back in the rotation for the Marlins, coming off a really strong outing his last time out in Jacksonville, where he threw 5 1/3 innings of scoreless ball, struck out 9, only ended up walking 1 batter in that game as well. But on the flip side, the Marlins option Max Meyer, and now there's a lot that can be said about the Marlins season. As we sit here mid-April, 10 games under 500 at 3-13, Marlins only winners of 3 of their first 16 ball games, in the midst of a pretty terrible streak that saw them blow a game yesterday when they could have gotten their first series win of the year against the Atlanta Braves. But the Marlins sending down the pitcher that earned their only win in the series in Max Meyer, who allowed 1 run in 6 innings in his last start, which was tied for the longest start by a Marlins starter this year, which was also set by Max Meyer on his previous start, where he went 6 innings, allowing 2 runs. Now, I understand Max is coming off of injury, but why? Like, I understand injury. You want to limit his innings. That's fine. Put him on the shelf. Throw him in the bullpen for a few weeks. This team at 3-13, you don't. At 3-13, let's be very honest about this club's future. This year is not about this year for the Marlins anymore. It probably never was about 2024 for the Marlins, realistically speaking, based on the moves that we've seen, based on the results that we've seen to this point thus far. This season was never about 2024 for the Miami Marlins. This season is about 2025. And so in that spirit, I want to see the Max Meyers of the world. I want to see the obviously we can't see Perez now, but when Brax gets back, I want to see Braxton Garrett. I want to see Ryan Weathers pitch more. As crazy as that would have sounded last year, I want to see guys that could potentially make an impact for this club going forward. Max Meyer is a guy that will be part of the Marlins rotation for not only a good portion of the rest of this season, but also going into 2025 and beyond. And that's what the Marlins should really be looking towards right now, is who's going to be in our rotation come next season? Who are our core pieces for this team going forward next season? It just feels like with this team right now, they're doing everything they can to make the club as unwatchable as possible. I like let's just call a spade a spade. I'm taking the kids' gloves off. I'm done. They're doing everything that they can right now to make this team as thoroughly unwatchable as possible. There isn't a good arm in the bullpen to turn to. I feel bad for Skip whenever he has to call on somebody out of the bullpen, because he's really just spinning a wheel and praying that the name that it falls on doesn't blow the game away. Not to say that everybody in the bullpen sucks. That's not the case. The guys have regressed. Guys regressed from last year. You're looking at Luis Ariz, who's hitting 254 in his first 16 games to start the season. Now, that's not to say he's going to hit that over the course of 162, but a big portion of your offense last year was the fact that he was chasing down 400 through like August. Right? And obviously, if he's hitting 254, he's not giving you the same impact. Jake Berger was just lost with an oblique strain. Who knows how long he's going to be out? And he's likely, he's a guy that was considered probably their second biggest bat in the order next to Jazz going into the season as a run producer. So right now, the Marlins at this point, it's just disappointing when I see guys that figure to be part of the future get set back. And that's not to say that I think that we're not going to see Meyer for months, but it is to say Meyer was one of the very few things on this Marlins team that has gone right to this season. And to see that, and I understand that the plan was probably always something like this. The plan was probably always for Max to get a certain number of innings or a certain amount of starts. But man, I mean, what are the fans going to have to latch on at this point? Max was a big time bright spot. He mows through the Braves order in a way that none of the Marlins starters did this year, in a way that was really impressive, quite frankly. And then it's pat on the back. All right, back to Jacksonville with you. Again, not to say that that's not pre-planned. I'm sure that it was, regardless of his performance. But on a team that's 3-13, you're sending the guy down that has 67% of your wins. Like, that, right? Like, it's not just that sending down Max makes the team worse. It's that it makes them borderline unwatchable. They're 1-13 in games that Max Meyer does not start. I don't know. Now, granted, Edward Cabrera, I'm glad to see him back in the rotation. He's a guy that could potentially, be one of those players that you see in the rotation next year for the Marlins. I think that they've actually got a really competitive situation there going forward. And I think that their rotation is strong looking at the future projections and what guys can be going forward. Now, whether or not certain guys are part of that, like a Jesus Luzardo, maybe he gets dealt before we even start talking about who's going to be the next guys after Sandy and Yuri next season. But overall, just a really, really not head scratching, because it makes sense when you think about it, but the timing is as awful as can be on the Marlins sending down Max Meyer. It's just a bad look for the franchise, even if it's not necessarily the wrong decision, quote unquote. It's just so much of what they've done over the last since the offseason really has been a PR nightmare for this team. And this is just another item added onto that laundry list. I will see you guys next week with more content for the Marlins, maybe even later on this week, as the Marlins start up their series tonight versus the San Francisco Giants, hosting the Giants for a 3-game set at Lone Depot Park tonight starting at 6:40. So we will be following that. I will have live tweets, so make sure to follow me on Twitter /X at Eric Wiedeke, as well as all of the fantastic Marlins team at 5 Reasons. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.